Hi, I'm Allie, and I'm living chronic faith. Thanks for stopping by. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report that about 60% of adults in the United States are living with some form of chronic illness. Now, with all the different ways that we manage it, the different doctors and treatment approaches, everybody's case is different. But one thing that we all have in common is that at some point we had to be diagnosed. Now, for one person, that might mean that they never had a symptom, but it was caught by routine blood work or some regular exam. For someone else, though, it might have been a long process where they lived with symptoms for 10 to 20 years, being misdiagnosed several times along the way. Either way it goes, making the adjustments with a new diagnosis can be challenging. I share a lot of information on this channel, but I realized I've never shared my diagnosis journey with you all. And I just want to encourage someone who might be on the verge of giving up just to hang in there and keep pushing forward until you get to your diagnosis. Until 2008, I had never been hospitalized, never had surgery, never broken a bone. That year, I happened to be at work and I was experiencing excruciating abdominal pain. I was sent home early and I just wanted to go to bed. And so I did. And I woke up every hour on the hour thinking it was daylight. I had a fever, I had chills. And finally, I called my sister because I couldn't take it anymore. She came over and ended up calling an ambulance. And I went to the emergency room where they determined, after what felt like a billion tests, that what I was experiencing was, in fact, an ovarian torsion. Now, I will spare you the details. Suffice to say that they scheduled me for emergency surgery later that morning. After recovering for about 2 months, I got back into my routine. But soon after that, I realized it was getting harder and harder to get up for work in the morning. And I struggled with that, thinking, I'm not doing anything different that I should be so exhausted. Why is this so hard for me? Then I began to experience the widespread pain or achiness. And I couldn't understand that either. There was no reason that I should be feeling the pain that I was feeling. So I went to my doctor and she more or less brushed me off. She told me, of course, to lose some weight and to start taking the fish oil supplements that she was selling. So I went home and I prayed and I did what we all do. I went online and I looked at WebMD. I put in my symptoms and I narrowed it down to 3 diagnoses. Either it was lupus, MS, or fibromyalgia. So I made another appointment with the same doctor. I went back in complaining of the same symptoms and she had the same answers, but this time she did some blood work. And I left her office and a day later she called me in a panic. And she asked me if I was in excruciating pain and I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she said, "I don't know how you walked into my office yesterday. You have so much inflammation, it's off the charts." I wasn't surprised. I knew what I was feeling, even though at some point, because I couldn't pinpoint what was causing it, I felt like maybe I was imagining it. And when she brushed me off the first time, that was almost the confirmation I needed to just say, "You're making this up, Allie. Get over it and keep going." But the blood work confirmed there was something really going on there physically. Still didn't get put on treatment though, and still there was no formal diagnosis made. Fast forward 2 years when I received a tetanus shot in 2010. And the day after that, I woke up and I couldn't move. I was temporarily paralyzed. I was put into the hospital. I had to actually go through rehab and relearn how to walk, how to do basic things like carry something as I'm walking or pick up a dime off the table without sliding it to the edge. And it was a scary time. It was a time when I felt very powerless and somewhat helpless until my amazing rheumatologist walked in. He wasn't my rheumatologist yet, but he would be for the next several years. And he gave me the final diagnosis of lupus and fibromyalgia. And as hard as it was to hear those words, I was relieved to have a name to put with the face, so to speak. Because once you know what you're dealing with, then you can devise a strategy to manage it. And that's what we did. And it was a game changer. It's not to say that I wasn't exhausted anymore or that I didn't have pain anymore, but because I knew that there were things that we could do to manage it, it changed the entire game. I have been living with those remissions and flares ever since. And God has given me an opportunity right in the midst of that to still reach out to people, to still do the things that I'm called to do. Sometimes I have to do them in a different way. But I'm so grateful that God allowed me to continue pushing forward to get a diagnosis, because now I'm able to manage it in a way that I'm still able to have a meaningful and purposeful life. So I just want to encourage you that if you are in the diagnosis phase of your journey, or if you've just come through that diagnosis phase of your journey, it is very discouraging sometimes, and it's easy to get disheartened. But I want you to be encouraged that you are not alone, that you are not some sort of anomaly where there's something wrong with you because a diagnosis hasn't yet been reached. Some things are a little trickier to diagnose. Some things look like other things, and sometimes there's combinations of things. But I want to encourage you to stay with it. Do not just allow someone to dismiss your symptoms. If you're not getting the response that you need, consider getting another opinion. But do not give up on yourself, and do not give up on the things that you're feeling. There is a doctor who will take you seriously and who will help you. It's important to do that because you are still here, because you have work to do. You have a God-given purpose, and He wants you to fulfill that. And it's so important for us to advocate for ourselves, especially in this diagnosis phase, so that we can know what we're up against, so we can manage it effectively and move forward and live the quality of life that we are supposed to be living. I want to leave you with a verse from Scripture, and it says, being confident of this very thing, that He which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. God has started something amazing in you, and He's going to continue, and there is no diagnosis that can get in the way of God doing what He wants to do in your life if you will cooperate with Him, partner with Him, and move forward with Him. I pray that you'll do that and that you'll stay encouraged. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.